Okay, let's dive in. The question, what is literature?
It seems simple, right? Especially if you're just starting to explore it.
Right. But is it really just, any book on a shelf?
Exactly. What actually makes something literature? It can be surprisingly tricky to pin down.
Mm-hmm.
So today our mission is to take a deep dive into a couple of older sources, one from 1895, another from 1927, where people were really wrestling with this exact question.
Yeah, trying to get a
Yeah.
handle on it. Etymologically, the word comes from Latin litera, which just means letter.
Suggesting it's just written material?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Written and printed stuff. But, well, right away, these sources we're looking at challenge that simple idea.
Okay. So there's definitely a need for a definition, especially like you said, for people new to this subject. Let's talk about the 1895 source first, Charles W. Kent.
Right, Kent. He specifically wanted a definition that would be clear for, as he put it, untrained minds. He saw a need for accessibility.
And what definition did he land on? He proposed this. Literature is the expression of human interests in artistic prose or verse.
Okay, let's break that down a bit. Human interests. What does that exclude? Is a really well-written science textbook literature?
Probably not, according to Kant's view here. Human interests, for him, meant the things that really concern us, deep down our emotions, our hopes, struggles, joys, the core stuff of being human.
The things that connect with us on a personal level.
Exactly. It's why stories resonate, why poems move us. It's not just about conveying facts, even if it's done clearly.
Got it. So the subject matter has to tap into that universal human experience. Then what about the artistic prose or verse part?
That's crucial. It means the form really matters, how it's written.
Craft.
Yeah, the craftsmanship.
Mm.
You need skill and artistic quality, maybe beauty or a certain power in the language itself. It's not just what you say, but how you shape it. Kent felt this artistic element is what helps it endure.
Okay. And expression is just putting those interests into that form.
Basically, yes. The act of taking those internal human concerns and translating them into this external artistic shape, whether it's a poem, a play, a novel.
Makes sense. Now let's jump forward to 1927. George Herbert Clark. He seemed to double down on this art aspect, didn't he?
He really did. Clark emphasized that literature is fundamentally an art. He argued it's not about the paper and ink, the physical object.
Right.
It's something deeper, something that appeals to our spirit, maybe in a similar way that music or painting does, just through words.
Clark used a really interesting contrast, borrowing from the poet Sidney Lanier. Can you remind us of that?
Sure. So Lanier contrasted Hamlet's line, words, words, words. Kind of dismissive, right? Like words are just empty air.
Yeah, the lowest view.
Exactly. Lanier saw that as the low view. But then he contrasted it with the opening of John's Gospel. In the beginning was the Word, where word means something profound reason, divine meaning, creative power.
The highest view.
The highest view. So literature can be just noise, but for Clark and Lanier, its potential is to embody deep significance.
That's a powerful way to think about it.
Yeah.
Did Clark also talk about what gives literature lasting power?
He did. He touched on a few qualities. One was universality, the idea that it speaks to people across time and cultures. Think Shakespeare still feeling relevant today.
Okay.
Then style the author's unique voice, their personal way of using language. It's recognizable.
Mm-hmm.
And he mentioned something called root serenity.
Root serenity. What do
Yeah.
you mean by that? It sounds calm.
Kind of. It's this idea that even when dealing with really difficult stuff like tragedy or chaos, great literature often holds some deeper wisdom or perspective. There's a kind of underlying steadiness or insight, even amidst the storm.
Interesting. So it's not necessarily a happy ending, but maybe a sense of grounding or understanding beneath the surface?
That seems to be the idea. It suggests enduring works might connect us to something more fundamental, helping us see through the immediate struggle, perhaps.
And one really important point both Kent and Clark seem to agree on. Literature isn't only about printed books.
Absolutely. Kent was quite explicit about including things like powerful oral traditions, maybe myths passed down, or even impactful speeches. Literature can definitely exist before print or outside of it.
So bringing it all together, especially if you're just starting to grapple with this, literature isn't just about working through a reading list.
No, it's more about connecting with these artistic expressions, crafted with skill, that try to capture something about the messy, complex, fascinating, universal experience of being human.
Right. It's meant to resonate, to make you think or feel something deeply.
And maybe a final thought to leave you with, picking up on Clark's idea. If many artists feel life itself is inherently mysterious, maybe even dreamlike, Does great literature, in trying to interpret life, actually help us make sense of that dream?
Or does it maybe just highlight how wonderfully complex and perhaps ultimately unknowable it all is? Something to ponder.